Welcome to the episode.
Nice to see you here.
Nice to see you too.
Thanks for visiting me on a Saturday.
I know. Thanks for bringing my coffee. I really appreciate that. We're set up. We're ready to go.
So we're going to be chatting a little bit behind the scenes of how we even got here.
Yeah.
And we actually are married. If you guys don't know that, Jared didn't just visit me today. He does live with me.
Unfortunately.
You live with me, not the other way around.
Yeah.
We don't even live together. You live with me. But we were just talking this morning about how we've been together for how long? 14 years?
No, 12. 12 years.
Oh.
Yeah. Ashley likes to add on just
Feels
years.
like 14.
She tells people we've been together for like decades.
Oh yeah, it was 12 years.
Yeah. We've been kind of dating.
Whatever.
We've known each other and started dating about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
We haven't been married for 12 years.
No, but we're working towards that.
Yeah.
So anyway, and we also are the co-founders of IKONICFOX, talent management agency. But we've had a whole lot of lives before this. And it's also for anyone out there listening, building your world, building your business, building your brand. There are a lot of life lessons that are woven into our world, our business, how we operate together as founders. Even sometimes people saying, how do you work with your significant other? And I'm like, here's the thing. We've never not worked together.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't actually know about us is we met. Can you believe it? In the actual workplace.
In an office.
In an office.
I know. We met in an office. We were working at a startup.
That's like analog, by the way. That's like OG analog era. To be able to meet each other in an office.
We got the best of both worlds, honestly.
We literally did.
No, I'm so glad that
You did.
Yeah. I'm so fortunate. But that was actually a really interesting time. Yeah. It was like, we were just talking about this the other day too, where it's like working from home was not really a thing. It was like, that was a special day.
Yeah.
If you got to work from home, that was a big deal. And we were even working at a startup company.
I know. Yeah.
So they were like progressive and modern and like tech savvy. It was just like a thing. I think, people didn't want to work from home. That was like, you're going to be alone. Why wouldn't you come in this cool office and hang out with everybody?
Yeah. Which, to be fair, it was fun. So we started getting to know each other at a digital ad agency back in the day. Before that, Jared had been in Seattle working at ad agencies. I had been finishing up, because I'm younger. I had been finishing up college.
A couple years younger.
But we basically met at this ad agency, and I think it was just, that was such a pivotal moment too in our careers of wearing so many different hats. It taught us so much even about the industry today, because a lot of those same wording, how you say things in the ad world, like how you understand things today is like the foundation that was built back then.
Well, yeah. And even the foundation that was built, I don't know if anybody remembers Mad Men, the show, Mad Men, from like the 60s, the advertising agency life and world in New York City and Chicago and LA. Like that was, a lot of that has even like, it's similar now. It's all about coming up with ideas and campaigns, and you're trying to get people interested in certain products and brands and like building brand loyalty.
Yeah.
And now obviously in the digital world, you can track things differently and you're measuring different things, but it's all related to the end goal, which is advertising, getting people interested in brands and affinity for certain brands and products. So,
well, I will just say this, Jared was my manager at that time, you guys.
I was.
And the running joke at the time, we were not dating each other at the office. We were just like hanging out in groups of friends there. But it was such a good time. And I will say for any younger people listening, if you can go into an office, it does teach you a lot of lessons working in person with each other. Look, we're big proponents for remote work, and a lot can get done very efficiently remotely, but there is nothing that replaces the in-office dynamics between different people, and just like bringing your stressors into the office and then someone else is having the best day ever. So I think that's also something that for younger people listening, and I say younger people because it's the time where you're kind of forming your social cues and like figuring things out.
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity, which some of the big cities, they always have those opportunities, like go into the office and just like see how people operate and like learn those social skills.
I know it is. No, it is something that if you've never really worked in an office like that, it's like a different world.
It is.
It's weird because
it's different dynamics.
Thinking about it now, because we've been working remote for years now, but going back into an office just feels weird because it's like, oh my gosh, it's like, especially like more of a modern agency vibe, studio vibe, tech company, startup, you know, they're very like open space.
Right.
You're not sitting in your own office with a door.
People might be bringing their dog to work.
So it's like weird to think about, like privacy and just like people on their phones. And, it's so funny how things were then.
Have shifted.
Yeah. But I mean, in general, like you said, the work is still the same. It's just where you're doing it now.
Yes.
And how you get stuff done. Like, I think I totally get it where people are more productive at home. Some people are more productive in the office. But yeah, that was an interesting time when we met. And then things shifted. We moved away from that company.
Yeah, we both ended up going in a couple of different directions, but then shortly thereafter, you took me to Paris because you had won a little trip through work because of some goal that you guys had hit. And so anyway, took me on that Paris trip. So everyone back in the office was like, oh, got it.
Paris and London, actually.
Yeah.
Paris and London.
That was fun. Really fun.
That was our first time we traveled together. And I think it's so funny because people say, hey, you should travel with someone, like someone that you're really interested in, and see, like, traveling together is almost like a good indicator of how you're going to be together in the future. So, well,
we really took the leap and went to Europe together. So when we said travel, we're like, well,
we're going to
travel.
But we had known each other for over a year at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and this whole episode is really to just talk about how we got started. You know, even though we run a talent management agency together, also just, we get questions from people who are like you said, what is it like to work with your significant other? Or I want to start a business, or like, I want to be, even creators who are interested in like starting off on their own path and they want to quit their full-time job. They're like, how did you do that? Like, how do you guide creators into doing something like that?
Totally.
So yeah, I think this could be a really long episode. We can talk more about this. I think there's like different...
Well, we're going to break it down.
Yeah, I think we'll break it down.
Just giving the high level overview, because we also want you guys to have a peek into our lives, how we've developed our taste over the years, and even how we've developed the foundation to IKONICFOX and why we got into this too. So yeah, we'll break down more of this in the future. And if you guys have questions around how we operate together, married, co-founders, all the things, like our life and our work are so wrapped up together, and we love it that way. When people are like, oh, I'm so sorry that you had to work on the weekend, I'm like, well, we love that. That's what we want to be doing.
I mean, that's what we're doing now.
But it doesn't, I know it's so cliche when people are like, oh, you know, my work doesn't feel like work. It just feels like fun. Yeah. It is true. Of course, there are going to always be those like things you don't love, or things that are stressful or whatever. But it's always the challenges that come along with building a brand and building a business on your own terms are what we thrive in and what we live for. Yeah. And it's exciting to wake up and always get to build something fresh that day.
Yeah, we love it.
And everything's always changing. But let's go back to the origin story. So we took the trip to Paris, London, and then Jared was like, I love you. And I'm like, I know.
Wait, did I say that there?
No, actually, I forced you to say it right before. I do remember that.
So guys, I was literally planning to say, I love you to Ashley in Paris or London. We were going to either one. We were going to both, but I was like, I want to say it on this trip. And then it was like 2 days before the trip, and were we on the phone?
No, we were in person at my apartment at that time. Probably having like Taco Bell or something. And I was just like, so you love me, right?
Yeah. And I was like, damn, that would have been perfect.
I do. I'm like, say it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think it was a good way to kick off the trip, to be honest.
Exactly.
Then you trusted me more. You're like, okay, this guy isn't some weirdo that's going to like
kill me.
Yeah. So.
But you weren't afraid.
But then I knew that you clearly were interested in me.
Well, if you hadn't said it, I might have killed you during that time.
And if you hadn't forced me to say it, I would have been questioning you because of your personality. By the time
you gotta look out.
Yeah. So anyway, we did that. Then we left that startup, and then we split off, and we kept in touch, but we worked at kept
in touch.
Well, no, I meant
we started dating.
No, I know, but we weren't dating at the startup company.
True.
We started dating kind of after you had left the company at that point. We went to Paris,
Yes.
went on the trip. I invited you on there. And then we were working at corporate companies at the time.
Yes.
So we continued to date, and then we worked at these big corporate companies, which honestly they're a great experience, honestly. If I think having, and this is what kind of I think led us into what we do now, is having that mix of the experience of working in the startup world, ad agencies, the digital marketing space, and then having that corporate experience also was amazing because it teaches you a lot of just working with a big organization.
And the responsibility that comes with that. There's so much at stake at a smaller boutique startup type of feel, but then also there is just as much at stake in a corporate company, but from a different lens. And there's just even more corporate jargon and lingo and stakeholders and international teams that you're managing, and also understanding different cultures.
Yeah.
That was a big thing for both of us too.
Yeah, because you worked with a big international team.
Yeah, I sat on the global team. And so we were having late night APAC calls and LATAM calls and EMEA. So
running big marketing campaigns.
Absolutely. And that also really gave us both a lot of respect for so many different walks of life, points of view, and also understanding just kind of again, even how different cultures tick and operate, and what's appropriate somewhere is not appropriate somewhere else. Even like how you take a lunch and what you're talking about during lunch is, with certain cultures, not appropriate to just keep talking work and keep working through lunch. So anyway, just small little things that, again, going into an office or getting different work experiences was always, I think, our initial goal, so that we could be better in business for ourselves and for our future companies. Yeah. But also, I do think that a lot of younger people too, they're just looking at how much is this company going to pay me?
Right.
And that is, to be fair, even creators that are starting out, don't worry so much about making X amount of money, because that will all come. But ultimately, it's like, you got to get all of the experience, especially if you're a newer creator in the scene. Even if you've had a couple of amazing deals, you just started. So you have to have also respect for the industry or the space that you're in, and learn and absorb and be open-minded before you can be like, I'm here as a junior. Now I want to step into the CEO position. I'm like, you just started. So again, just keeping that in mind. And the reason that we're saying this, whether you're in the normal workforce or you're in the creative economy, it's really important to gain that experience, because you're going to make more in the long run versus like trying to fast track it right now.
I mean, we've always said this, and it's one of our recommendations for people straight out of college, or even creators who are even doing it part-time, and they're just itching to go full-time and quit their job. And we're like, hey, you got to have patience. Even when you quit your job and you go full-time as a creator, you have to have patience, because it's a long-term vision. You got to have patience. It takes a long time to build something from nothing.
Yes.
And no matter what you're getting into, but I think especially in, the more of a creative space, if you're coming from the corporate world, or if you're trying to quit your full-time job, or you want to start a business, it takes patience. And like you said, if you're just starting out and you get a job, I think getting more work experience is better than trying to
get the highest paycheck.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, exactly. So I agree. Yeah, getting experience is so important. Yeah.
I also think, again, this is what builds sustainable long-term growth. That's the whole point, is it's not just to make a quick buck, but if you want to be around in that career and building that career out, or in the most competitive position possible too, so that when companies have tough times, they're not like, oh yeah, we're overpaying that person. They're not bringing that much to the table compared to the paycheck that they're making. Same thing with creators. That person's making a lot of money here, and I don't know if we need that, because marketing budgets do get slashed quickly. So, and they come back, of course, but they're going to come back, and we saw that in 2025, and now we're in 2026, and we're off to an insane start this year, which is awesome. But it's also about the creators we represent and the brand we've built at this point, and the reputation that we've built. But I'm going to take us back again.
I like these little stories we have. We're digressing, but then we jump back in. So I hope you guys like this story time episode.
Lessons.
Yeah. So where were we? So we were working in our corporate worlds.
Yes. And we knew that wasn't forever. Yeah.
And we were like, yeah, this just really isn't for us. We liked we liked the startup that we worked at. It was creative, and we worked with, and actually that's where we built a really big network within our agency and brand contacts.
Yeah, because a lot of times we work with some of the same people.
We still
today.
work with a lot of the same agencies, which is funny. And then our corporate world, we kind of got to the point, I remember, we were like, okay, we want to do something else.
More creative.
We know we have this skill set and this combination of everything that we've built up to that point.
Right.
And so we were like, what could we do? And we weren't trying to just quit our job overnight. We were like, what could we do? So then we were like, let's do something creative, just a creative outlet.
Yeah.
So we started dabbling a little bit we were doing like photography and video at the time for local restaurants and food and bev type of brands.
Yeah.
Which was kind of cool.
It was fun.
Getting to know that world, but that was very short-lived, because then we were like, what if we created a clothing brand? Because right at that time we were really getting into like fitness. The fitness world was exploding on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everything was fitted back then. Everything was fitted, and like it was all about athleisure.
Okay, but guys, like we were just like, you know what? Yeah, that totally makes sense. We have no experience in that industry. We have no connections. We have no idea how to start this. Patterns, samples, procuring a manufacturer,
tech packs.
Yeah, the like clothing composition. Sure, that makes sense. Let's do that.
Why did we do that?
We were just like, but that also I think is true today, is like it's okay to be a little delulu. And that's also what ends up making great work and great experience. And sometimes it ends up working out. And truly what that business led us to, which before we dive into what it led us to next, which is IKONICFOX, is we had so many painful experiences through that. Just so many learning experiences the clothing industry is a huge investment monetarily. If you're going to make it a thing really start to finish, this is not merch. These are not blanks. This is like cut and sew, original gear, original product, original branding, everything.
We did it the hard way.
We did it the hard way. We built our Shopify.
We did that.
But we built our Shopify site out. We worked with a designer for the logo and all of that. But we ended up working with a factory in Peru, which was awesome. Like we still wear some of the pieces today, and they're so good. The fabric composition, like if I could get this again, like maybe we'll explore that.
Well,
in the
and side note, the reason why we picked Peru was because, if you guys are familiar, or maybe not, but there's a certain type of cotton called Pima cotton that is like super soft. It's considered a long staple cotton, which means it's just more durable and it's softer, and it even gets softer over time. So it's like this really interesting, when you feel like a Pima cotton t-shirt, you're like, oh, this is like different than a normal cotton. But it grows Pima cotton originally. Now they grow an American version of it, but true Pima cotton started in Peru. Yeah. And so that's like they specialize in Pima cotton.
Well, and we also wanted to have a manufacturer who was practiced more sustainable practices and also had good working standards for their team. So that was all there, which that took so much research to get to that point. Again, we were just like, of course, why not? Just keep researching.
We were motivated.
But I will say that is also something that I will give us credit for, is that we have always been, and this is again a lesson and a takeaway, we've always been really curious about how things work. Yeah. And if we want to do something, we're going to learn all the things about it and then put our own spin into it. And I think that's something that's really important, is it's not just about, we were not going into that thinking, let's just make tons of money on this clothing brand. Like, let's learn it deeply. Let's create a really sick brand. Let's create something we would want to wear. And that's what we ended up doing. But during that time, which we invested a lot of money, a lot of our savings into it, was not, funded by anyone else. And that's where during that time they had shipped it over, and the packaging, everything, the shipment got lost.
Yeah. That was
crazy.
It got
lost.
Yeah.
Like lost. And then
it was multiple pallets of product.
All of it was lost.
Yeah. These weren't just like shipping boxes. These were like pallets. Like the money we put in was not small, especially for us or any business. Yeah. And it was mostly our money.
It was mostly our money. And then we also took out a line of credit, but it was about $100,000.
Yeah, what was it? I was going to say about $100,000.
Yeah. And that is a lot of freaking money.
Yeah.
We were like, okay, wait. So all of a sudden, that money just went poof.
Well, and this was part of learning experience. If we had to do this over again and start a clothing brand, we would do it differently. But yeah, we probably invested too much to begin with because we had like a bigger collection than we really needed.
Yeah. And I think that's also something too, that we listened to other experts, because we connected with quite a few experts in the fashion industry and in the clothing industry. And we listened to them they were just like, no, you can't launch with 1 or 2 items, because we wanted to do something that was just like a really amazing like hoodie or long sleeve or something.
Or an accessory or something like that.
And be known for that. And now you have companies like Local Space or Local Project, I think. Companies like that are so smart at creating a cult following around an accessory or around one piece, and then you expand from there. That's completely okay to do.
Well, I think because a lot of these experts, and this is part of, if you're talking to somebody and you're like trying to start something, it's like they're used to working with bigger budgets, people who are taking out investments. They're doing a huge collection to start, which that works obviously for some people.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you're more in control and you're kind of bootstrapping it yourself, it just feels more like less risky than taking out $1 million to try to launch this brand from scratch.
Totally.
So I'm glad we did that, but it's also like, when it's your money, it still feels like a lot.
It is. And also when it disappears because the shipment gets lost.
Yeah.
And then we weren't hearing from our manufacturer. So this was like over a month, I would say 4 to 6 weeks that we didn't hear anything from them after we were like, okay, where the heck is the shipment?
Well, I think they were scared too, because they were like, oh shit, we're going to have to replace all this because
we were like, well, I hope that is the case. So anyway, we ended up through so many hoops that we had to hop through, we ended up tracking it down on some sort of camera in a warehouse in the city that we were in. And it was just crazy at the time. So we got it back. We launched it, and we ended up going on. Well, no, we were on our honeymoon at the time that we were like finalizing all of this.
Yeah. So we took photos. We had like a nice camera. We took photos when we got married in Maui. We were there for 2 weeks. So it was
just
like
the two of
honeymoon
us.
/ business project.
Yeah.
But we shot photos and like shot the whole first collection there for the most part.
Yeah.
And we were launching it like
lifestyle setting.
I know. I mean, look at us now. We're still working together, going on dates, talking about work.
But yeah, I mean, it was a wild ride. But through that, we ended up working with content creators at the time. But what we ended up finding is working with these larger agencies, we were just getting these random decks of headshots, basically modeling shots. And we were just like, we don't connect with this at all. And it was just all about following count, all about like everyone looked the same, who's the prettiest person on social. And we're like, that tells no story. It doesn't help us convey a message for our brand and reach the end consumer, which it didn't, by the way. I mean, we did well, and we ended up being able to pay that off, that line of credit off. And we ended up putting that to rest. But it taught us so many valuable lessons about business, about managing our money, about how we operate as co-founders together. And then it also taught us a lot about the world of social media and what works and what doesn't and what resonates with consumers. And a lot of it is still true today, which is you have to connect and you have to build a world. Otherwise, people don't believe in what you've created. Yeah. It just looks like the next brand and business. It just looks like the next shirt that you're wearing. So what's so impactful about that story that then resonates with the consumer and the creators, the great ones out there? They're not just the biggest creators. They're the ones that have a connected community because of their interests, because of who they are as a tastemaker in the space and what they believe in. So we realized that there was such a need for our background, our skill set, having worked in agency setting, corporate setting, having our own brand, and then having seen how some of these basically larger agencies that were all that existed at the time, we needed something in the industry that had better support for content creators who wanted to build a long-term brand and wanted to build a long-term world. And we were just super excited about the space at the time because we're like, we see so much potential here. So let's pivot and launch IKONICFOX. And we had a good friend at the time who was working with us as a content creator.
All of the background knowledge and just our motivation towards doing something different in this industry kind of kicked off, okay, let's do this. Like we can totally see the vision and the future of the creator economy.
Well, and also taking all of our experience and learnings and what we had kind of fine-tuned really over the last years of our work experience, and then taking a kind of fresh perspective into the space of the creative world versus just these modeling agencies or PR teams that kind of pivoted into representing creators but treating them kind of the same as a modeling product. We're like, no, these are people and people need to connect with people. That's been our message from the beginning, and our goal was never, again, to make the most money in the space. It was to sustain long-term brand growth and opportunity, and more money came from that when we weren't chasing it.
Yeah, and we knew that we could help creators really build their brands.
Yeah.
I think that's what we saw that was different than a lot of the talent agencies at the time, is they just saw it as like a very transactional, which it felt very transactional.
It still is. A lot of teams still operate like that because they see dollar signs in the space. And a lot of creators end up signing with those teams because their friends are there, because they've heard that so-and-so makes this amount of money. I'm like, but you're not them.
Yeah.
So how are you going to differentiate yourself? And who are you going to align yourself with who has the same outlook in the space that you do? Or we hear things from our brand and agency partners who say, you know, we're reaching out to you guys because we already know your creators are top tier, and you guys, we know how you're operating. We know how your creators operate. Same mindset, same outlook, professionalism, all of that's there. And that's also something that we really instilled in our business and also our team and the creators that we were bringing on and still continue to bring on today. Like, we're very careful, but we always wanted to remain boutique because we wanted that. We wanted the experience of like, we want to be able to go to dinner with each person.
Yeah. And have fun with it.
Yeah.
I think it's like so many businesses they're so serious, and then they're really difficult to work with. And then they're not fun to work with at the end of the day. And like,
they don't come
that
with
makes
fresh
a big
ideas.
difference. Yeah. And like coming at it from a different angle, we like to do things differently and just view things differently. And we always will. That's just how we are. And yeah, so basically at that point, we were like, let's kick off IKONICFOX. And we were in, when did we come up with
the name? Oh, we were in Maui.
We were in Maui.
Yeah.
But you would come up with that. But we were like, what are we going to do with this? I like this, but what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
This is like our little side project, which then spun into, like you said, we started representing one creator. Everybody starts with one follower, one client, one customer. So anybody listening, you always start with one.
You start somewhere. But we had already been putting in work basically ad hoc for free. And I think that's also another takeaway is don't be afraid to do work and not necessarily get paid for all of it, because
just learn.
Yes. Learn, absorb, refine, get better, improve, and continue. Again, the money follows, but you got to have that foundation, that experience, and that drive and that passion, because that's what's going. As you hear, so many businesses end up not being around after their first even year. And I do believe, obviously, there are so many factors at play, but a lot of it does come down to like, you really have to build that foundation. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a vision. And you can always, again, evolve, pivot, all of those things, depending on how things are shifting and shaping. But you really have to build that first. And that's really what we stuck to. And I know we don't have enough time in this episode to really go into like what it's like to work together as a married couple who are co-founders, but I think that's its own episode of just things that we've learned about each other, and that it's completely possible, and the trust that we have in each other and our different skill sets, but then we always have the same kind of end goal too within things, but we've always pushed each other creatively, operationally with the business.
Yeah.
And I think that's also where both of us, we are perfectionists, we are type A, but we go about it in different ways too.
Yeah, no, we're a good balance with each other. Yeah.
Speed and efficiency, as I like to say.
Yeah, I think a lot of it came from also, we were friends, we were coworkers, we had worked together, and we had similar goals and just interests.
And outlook.
Yeah,
too.
like I think that is really important if you're going to work with your partner, your significant other.
Or a friend.
Yeah.
Or, because they always say, don't go into business with friends or family. Most of the time I would say that is true. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But if you can align fully while you have your different POVs, it can work really well because you have full trust and everything's at stake together, you know?
No, for sure. Yeah. I think a lot of it, and not everybody's going to be a perfect fit, and it doesn't always work out. We get that. So you don't have to force it, but it does take time.
We could go so long on the start to the current like day of IKONICFOX, and that should be its own episode, plus how to work together as co-founders and spouses. But we're not going to make this a 3-hour long episode.
That'd be fun though, to do like a 3-hour stream.
Oh, we should.
Nobody, everybody's like, no, I wouldn't. It'd be kind of cool though. We could talk about
like a live stream.
No, there's just, there's so many things to talk about, but I think we've just gotten so many questions, like so many angles about how do you work together, running a business.
How did IKONICFOX start? How are things, like, how did you build things to today? And I do think that, again, it goes back to having a clear foundation, and we're where we hoped that we would be back then today. So, and there's just so much more to build and to grow, and we're super excited. Now we even bring merch into it, so we have little clothing ode.
No, but really, that just shows, and I think anyone who's listening and is thinking about going out on their own or doing something different, or they want to be creative, or they want to go in this career path, it's like you have to have patience, and it's never a perfect line. It's always like, it's kind of a squiggly line to get there. And it just takes time, and you have to build upon, like you said, the foundation. You have to continue to build. You can't jump from one point. You can't go from point A to point Z overnight, even though everybody wants to. And I think social media it encourages that almost in some ways. Like, people see other people who feel like they're successful, they have more money, or they're living their dream job, or they're living their dream life, or they retired early. And I think, like we all know, that a lot of that is not necessarily true. And
that's why Instagram versus reality is a thing. And I think at the end of the day, you should be going through highs and lows with any, like, just roadblocks that come up and hurdles that you have to figure out and get through, systems that you need to put in place, process that needs to be there, people that you thought you could trust and you can't. And that should not then take away from continuing to build with excitement and positivity towards what you know that you're destined for.
And your skill set too. I think that's a big thing too, is like doing these different things. Like we talked about all of the different types of jobs and careers and
experiences,
projects and experiences we've had. It teaches you, it's taught us like what we're good at, what we don't like, what we love to do.
It's allowed us to refine.
Because I do think there's that whole thing about, following your passion, do what you're passionate about. And I think that holds true just at a high level, but I think some people take it literally, and it doesn't have to be literal. It's more of like, what are you good at? Like, what is your skill set that you're good at and that you can do over and over again, and apply that to an industry that needs...
or a door that opens, because my whole dream was to always work for a magazine in New York City. And then again, as my career opened up and as things shifted and as life happened, then we're kind of living a life that I once dreamed of, but didn't necessarily exactly envision was what we do today versus the magazine.
And things change too with AI now. I understand some people listening who are maybe right out of college, maybe they're in college, or creators who are like, oh, well, AI now is taking entry-level jobs or other types of jobs, but that doesn't mean that there won't be other opportunities. You have to continue to explore and really figure out where things are going, where you can take your career. Like you said, doors open, opportunities come up that you don't even know about right now or are thinking about.
And people want to interact with people too at the end of the day. So while there's obviously a time and place for AI, it's not going to take everyone's job. So you just got to work harder, be smarter, be more grounded in what you want to do. And also, again, don't be afraid to do some things that aren't going to necessarily bring the biggest paycheck at first, because it will lead to that.
Well, and I was going to say that, where try new things. I think trying new things and being curious is so important now, because you learn things that you just never thought about before, that could turn into something that
you develop new tastes.
You have to try new things. You have to challenge yourself, try new projects. And like you said, it doesn't always have to be for a big paycheck.
Yeah, agreed. So guys, hope you enjoyed hanging out with us, learning a little bit more about our story and the behind the scenes of how we got here. And this is just a short snippet of all the past years that we've operated together and navigated career together and business, honestly.
And where we're continuing to take things.
Yeah. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, please let us know. Shoot us a DM if there's anything else that you want us to break down, especially more from the behind the scenes side of things and how we got here and what we're doing now. But hope you guys took something away from this, and we will see you in the next episode.